The Great Khans have been around just as long as the NCR. We meet them in both Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. In those games, the Great Khans act more like petty raiders. We'll cover what the Great Khans do in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 when we start tackling more of the content from those two games. But in Fallout New Vegas, the Great Khans have a prominent presence. In yesterday's video, we learned where they get the chemicals that they need to make the chems that they use to support the tribe. We also met Papa Khan, the leader of the Great Khans, and his two closest advisors, Regis, who believes Papa Khan is taking the Great Khans down a dangerous path, and Carl, an emissary from Caesar's Legion, a man responsible for the new alliance that the Great Khans have made with Caesar's Legion. But today we'll meet the remaining cast of characters here in Red Rock Canyon, including Jerry the Punk. We find Jerry in the middle of the camp, standing at the entrance to what appears to be an arena. As we approach, we hear him reciting poetry?
1, 2, 3. Damn it, too many syllables. I wonder if anything rhymes with Cazador. There once was a man of stout heart. Heart. What rhymes with heart? Maybe I should write something about how much the Great Khans suck. Later. Indulgent. What rhymes with indulgent? Default. No, that's terrible. Silver what? Silver eyes? No, eyes doesn't rhyme. How do you spell gesticulate? I wonder if anything rhymes with Cazador. What do you want?
What are you doing?
Nothing really. Just trying to psych myself up to try my initiation. Again. Everybody has to do it. Well, everybody who wants to be a Khan anyways. They toss you into the ring there and beat on you for a solid minute. If you survive, you're in.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Sure, maybe not if you're some hulking reprobate like Regis or big to the gills like Jack. I've tried 5 times and still haven't made it.
We learn that Jerry the Punk is not making this up. This really is the initiation rite for the Great Khans. When we met Melissa in yesterday's episode, she bragged about it. She was proud of having survived.
It wasn't easy. There's a lot of initiation rituals to go through, and I've got the scars to prove it. But in the end, I was tough enough to be made a member. Proudest day of my life.
We also meet a former member of the Great Khans named Bitterroot. He talks about the initiation rites as well.
I'm Bitterroot, first recon. You got a reason to talk to me?
Bitterroot, you have an unusual name.
You trying to start trouble? Or do you really not know where I got that name?
Well, I didn't mean to offend. You don't have to tell me if you'd rather not.
It's a Khan name. You know, the Great Khans. That's what my parents were. I figured I grew up around the bastards. They owed me a name after all they put me through. You're not fully grown till you've taken a beat down. Everybody gathers around and hits you till you're damn near dead. After that, if you haven't begged for mercy, you get to choose a new name. One you'll use for the rest of your life. When NCR slaughtered the Khans at Bitter Springs, I hadn't got my beat down yet. I was still too young. The way I see it, Bitter Springs was my beat down. So afterward, I gave myself a name. It's all I got from the Khans. It's all I ever want.
Strangely enough, Bitterroot's name is more tribal than any of the other names in the Great Khans. Melissa, Jerry, Jessup, Regis. Those are the names of the Great Khans we meet, and then this guy calls himself Bitterroot. Anyway, back to Jerry the Punk. We can try to learn a little bit more about what he thinks of his tribe. Can you tell me about the Great Khans, Jerry?
I can tell you they're a bunch of big dumb jerks with no appreciation for art. I mean, can you believe their initiation?
What do you think about the Khans' alliance with Caesar?
Huh? Wait, what are you talking about? We're allied with Caesar now? Typical. Nobody tells me anything.
You know, as I approached, it kind of sounded like you were writing poetry.
Oh, you heard that, huh? Okay, so, yeah, I was writing poetry. I know, it's not a very Great Khan-like thing to do. The followers of the apocalypse came to our camp when I was a kid, and they brought a bunch of old books. I used to read pre-war poetry for hours.
Why isn't poetry Great Khan-like?
Have you seen this tribe? If it's not an epic drunken ballad of cracking skulls and hearing lamentations, they think it's a waste of time.
Well, I'd love to hear some of your poetry.
You would? Really? Okay, well then, here goes. This one's a haiku. Rad scorpion bites. My foot in the box canyon. Ow, 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 ow. Ow. That's it. What do you think?
We can respond a couple of ways. We can say, that was terrible. Really, really awful.
Whatever.
Or we can say, wow, that was really something.
You liked it? Wow, you're the first one who ever did.
You know, Jerry, you don't sound too eager for your initiation.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe I'm not. But what else can I do?
We can then pass a 33 speech check to say, it sounds like you're not happy being a great Khan. Maybe you'd be happier someplace else.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I can find my true calling, someplace they'll appreciate my poetry. Someplace like the old Mormon fort, maybe. Do you think the followers of the apocalypse would take me? I remember all those books they brought us when they visited our tribe.
Well, I could ask them for you.
You'd do that? Thanks. I mean, I'd go myself, but what if they said no? The Khans wouldn't take me back, and then I'd have nobody.
We now have the task to go ask the followers of the apocalypse if they'll take Jerry the Punk on as a brand new member. But the old Mormon fort is all the way in Freeside. That's quite a trek. Before we go to help Jerry, let's continue exploring Red Rock Canyon. Just outside the arena, we see some of the Great Khan's tribal art spray painted on the rocks. Their logo, which is a mustachioed skull with horns. Then we see maybe a scene from some of their lore. Some Great Khans with shotguns attacking men in suits. I'm assuming these are some of the tribes of the Strip. Of course, we already learned from Papa Khan that the Strip tribals, backed by the technology of Mr. House, utterly annihilated the Great Khans, forcing them to bitter springs. So I'm not sure why the Great Khans would depict this scene as if they were the conquerors in this exchange. Moving on to the next rock, we find another scene of Great Khan triumph. The Great Khan's tower, above all of their enemies wearing large spears. They're attacking, are those more Strip tribals? Maybe powder gangers? Skewering them on sticks. Then at the top, it looks like they're decapitating soldiers, possibly the NCR, while nearby cowboys cry in terror. Well, these are just a charming lot of people, aren't they? They've pitched their tents on an outcropping overlooking the arena. Heading over that way, we stumble upon Jessup, who points at us menacingly.
Still got a bit of a walk ahead of us. Talk fast.
He speaks as if he's still walking back to Red Rock from Boulder City, and he does so for the remainder of the game. Jessup, remember, was one of the Great Khans who was hired by Benny to kill us. His partner McMurphy died after they attacked the NCR near Boulder City. That's where we found his corpse. Heading up to the tents, we find only a few of them open. There's nothing terribly interesting in them. We'll find some Great Khans sitting and drinking.
Mr. House isn't a man to be trusted. Watch yourself.
Share a whiskey with me sometime?
Here we find even more of their spray-painted art. Many of the same scenes we've seen already, and here's a new one. Mutated, double-headed teddy bears being lynched. Well, nothing conjures up sympathy from a third party than hanging horribly mutated and defenseless teddy bears. That's it for this portion of the camp. We find the next section down a long chasm to the north. As we walk down, we get approached by a Great Khan.
Hey, welcome to Red Rock Canyon. Since you've done so much for the Great Khans, Papa Khan told me to let you know you can buy weapons at our armory. You can find it in the basement of the burned-out old building at the mouth of the canyon.
The Great Khans offer us access to their armory once our reputation with them is good enough. To find the armory, we have to go all the way back to the entrance to Red Rock Canyon. It's hidden in the basement of a nearby ruined building. We have to open a hatch to access the Great Khan armory. Inside, we find a couple of Khans walking around, a reloading bench and a workbench, and then a bunch of scrap and containers, but they're all set to owned, so we can't take any of this at the moment without stealing. However, one of these Great Khans acts as a merchant.
They tell me I'm supposed to sell you weapons. Interested?
Yes, please.
Take a look.
This is great for those of us who go through quite a lot of ammunition, as having more merchants selling more ammunition is always a good thing. Strangely enough, however, they don't sell any of the Great Khan armor. I guess that's for members of their tribe only. Anyway, back to that canyon we were exploring before we were interrupted. As we approach, we learn that this is the Red Rock Drug Lab. So this is where the chemicals go that the tribals use to produce their chems. In the middle of the lab, we see a campfire. Sitting nearby is a woman named Diane and a man named Jack.
Hey, look who it is bringing that good con karma around.
What is it you do here?
Do? We don't, do anything. We make the magic happen.
What's the magic?
We make the happy stuff. What do you need? Jet, Psycho, a little Med-X to ease the pain?
Oh, so you're drug dealers?
Nah, kitten, more like drug suppliers. Yeah, other folks sell them. Diane's mostly in charge of that.
How'd you get into this business?
Guess I just had a natural talent for it. When I was a kid, these cats called the Followers of the Apocalypse came to our camp. They knew all kinds of kooky, scientistical stuff, so I ate up all the chemistry they could teach. Diane had the head for business, so we teamed up.
Tell me a little about the Great Khans.
They're family, you dig? They've always looked out for us, made sure we had something to eat and a place to crash. Papa may look like a big angry bear, but he's a softy at heart. Regis is cool, scary, but cool. The rest are all pretty groovy, even little Jerry.
Who's Jerry?
The other dudes call him Jerry the Punk. That's kinda harsh, though. I think he's just a sensitive soul that needs some love. He's usually down around the proving ground if you want to say yo.
Okay, well, at least one Great Khan doesn't mind the poor kid. Hey, I'm looking to make a few caps. Got any work for me?
Diane handles most of the transactional elements of this little enterprise, but I'm always in the market for new recipes if you've got the spark.
With that, we begin the quest Abba Dabba Honeymoon, and now we need to talk to Diane. Jack functions as a chem merchant.
Oh, you're buying. Cool.
At the moment, he only sells a handful of chems, but as we complete quests later, his inventory gets much larger. Heading on over to his sister, Diane.
You're not one of my regulars. What do you want?
What is it you do here, Diane?
We keep the Great Khans from falling apart, essentially. Jack manufactures the chems. I organize the runners and the shipments.
So, you're drug dealers?
We're supplying things people want in exchange for things our tribe needs. Don't judge us.
Who do you sell to?
We make regular shipments to a lot of settlements around the Mojave. A lot of our business comes from the fiends lately. Personally, I think they're kind of creepy, but Papa likes the fact they get all hopped up on Psycho and harass the NCR patrols.
Tell me a little about the Great Khans.
I'll spare you the history lesson. Talk to Papa Khan if you want to hear that story. Things have been rough for a while now. Even with Jack working all the time and my runners making deliveries daily, we're barely getting by. Maybe this alliance with Caesar will help, but I don't know.
Why are things so tough?
Red Rock Canyon isn't exactly the most hospitable place. There's no food, barely any water, and nothing anybody wants. We used to send patrols out to acquire supplies, but ever since Bitter Springs, there just aren't enough of us left.
I'm looking to make a few caps. Got any work for me?
You look like you could handle yourself in a fix. All right, I'll tell you what. Anders, one of my best runners, is overdue to report back. If you can find out what happened to him, I'll give you some real work.
Sure, just tell me who I'm looking for and where to start.
About 3 weeks ago, I sent Anders southeast to find a route into Arizona, to open new markets for our product. He should have been back 2 days ago, but there's been no sign of him.
All right, I'll be back as soon as I have any news.
Thanks. Prove you're reliable on this, and I'll have more for you later.
Jack and Diane likely live and work out of these nearby caravans. They're mostly empty save for a few containers, but inside we do find sleeping bags and mattresses. One seems to be the heart and soul of their chem production. We see a picnic table inside one with a chemistry set and a whole bunch of supplies. Here we find some unique items, some bags of flour, in quotes. Yes, I'm sure that's all it is, just flour. Now, Diane told us that the missing man, Anders, was headed southeast. There is one road that goes southeast, but it's a pretty hostile road this early in the game. The road takes us through Camp Searchlight, a horribly irradiated town filled with feral ghouls, and it takes us down towards Cottonwood Cove. Cottonwood Cove, we remember, is Legion territory, so if we don't have good reputation with the Legion, we may want to avoid the place. But as we follow the road down to Cottonwood Cove, we see that the Legion has lined the road with crosses as a warning. Some of these crosses still have skeletons hanging from them, but one of them appears to have a fresh corpse. However, as we get closer, we realize that it's not a corpse. It's Anders, the missing Great Khan, and he's still alive.
Please, help me.
Are you Anders? Jack and Diane sent me to look for you.
Thank God. Let me down, please.
I think you're better off where you are. Hang around, I'll be back.
No! God, please!
Hey, tell me, who did this to you?
Legion caught me. Said this was the penalty for drug runners. Please, let me down.
So you're smuggling drugs?
Please, for the love of God, let me down.
Well, he doesn't really want to do much talking while he's strung up there, so instead we can say, all right, let's get you down from there. Strangely enough, he doesn't hop down from the cross. I tried this on a couple different characters, and even after releasing him, he still stays stuck up there. This is unlike the crucified NCR we found in the town of Nelson. They hop down. But he still talks with us as if we successfully released him.
Thanks for getting me down from that cross. I owe you one.
And now we can ask him our questions again, and he's willing to give us a response. Are you Anders? Jack and Diane sent me to look for you.
They did? Probably mostly Jack's idea. He always was the soft touch. Thanks. You've saved my life and done the Great Khans a huge favor. I'll be heading back to Red Rock Canyon now. Maybe we'll see each other there.
Actually, I have a few questions first.
Okay, but keep it quick. I'd like to get out of here before the Legionnaires come to check on me.
So you're smuggling drugs?
Well, not exactly. More like trying to expand our markets. I heard there was a lot of untapped territory down south, but the Legion caught me.
Who did this to you?
The Legion patrol caught me trying to cross the river. When they found the, package I was carrying, they strung me up there.
Goodbye, Anders.
So long.
So the Legion disapproves of drugs. And the Great Khans, who recently allied with the Legion, specializes in producing drugs. I can see this partnership is gonna be a blast. Heading back to the Red Rock Canyon Drug Lab, we find Anders limping around the campsite.
Thanks again for saving my ass.
The poor guy is either permanently injured or is taking a long time to recover from his wounds. Well, at least he's still alive. Now we can check in with Diane.
Anders told me what happened. We owe you one for rescuing him. Tell you what. I can give you caps as a thank you or a special recipe Jack cooked up.
We can choose either the caps or the recipe if we take the caps.
Here you go, you've earned these.
We get 250. Or if we take the recipe, we get a recipe for turbo.
Here you go. Enjoy it. With Anders out of commission for so long, we're short-handed on runners, and some backlogs have piled up. We've got an associate in the Crimson Caravan Trading Company who distributes for us and out of Vegas. He's been after us for a new shipment.
Sure, I'll do it.
Great. Here's the package. Your contact is Don Hostetler at the Crimson Caravan. Come back and see me when you're done.
Jack and Diane then give us a mildly suspicious package. The package appears in the miscellaneous section of our inventory as a metal suitcase. So we need to track down Dan Hostetler at the Crimson Caravan Company. Now it's possible that we will be unable to complete this quest if we've completed rows of Sharon Cassidy's personal companion quests. One of the options to resolve her quest is to kill everyone at the Crimson Caravan, including Don Hostetler. If, however, we chose to leave the Crimson Caravan alive, or if we haven't completed that quest yet, we find Don Hostetler in Alice McClafferty's office building of the Crimson Caravan headquarters.
Hello there. Welcome to the Crimson Caravan Company. How can I help you today?
I've got a package here from your friends Jack and Diane.
Huh? Oh, right, yeah. I'll take that. You should go now, before you draw any attention.
With that, we hand over the mildly suspicious package. Back at the Red Rock Drug Lab, we can tell Diane of our success.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about you. What's up?
I finished the Crimson Caravan run.
Great. Here's your payment.
Any new jobs for me?
Okay, if you want a little work, I think I can find you something.
Sure, what have you got?
You up for something challenging? I've got a ship of Jet and Psycho that needs to be delivered to Motor Runner at Vault 3.
Piece of cake.
Don't get cocky. The fiends are twitchy. Most of them won't bother a con, but the ones outside the vault, well, they're outside for a reason. Here's the package. Good luck. Your payment will be waiting when you get back.
So we need to deliver chems to the Fiends. One of the Great Khan's largest customers are the Fiends who indiscriminately attack everyone they see. They harass the NCR, they shoot at caravans, and they even murder other tribals. The Great Khans know this, but they don't really seem to care. Now, Diane gave us some Great Khan armor for a reason, and that's because the fiends are likely to shoot us on sight unless they know that we're part of the Great Khans. The fiends just outside Vault 3 are always aggressive no matter what we do, so we have to fight them. But if we're wearing some Great Khan armor, as soon as we enter Vault 3...
This is what I've been waiting to see. A big bad Khan bringing in the medicine. How about you toss some psycho my way?
They recognize us and allow us through. But if we're not wearing Great Khan armor and we enter Vault 3...
What the fuck are you doing here? You got some kind of fucking death wish, asshole?
Isn't this Vault 3 home of the fiends?
Final warning, asshole. Get the fuck out of here or we are gonna waste your ass.
We have to pass a pretty difficult speech check, especially at early levels, to access the vault. I'm carrying Jet, Psycho, and other favors, and I don't deliver to the help.
If you're fucking carrying, just fucking say so. Yeah, deliver to the boss. Business as usual. Motor runners down in the maintenance wing. Straight through the door behind me, down the hall, down the stairs to the right. We have a Khan coming through to see the boss. Don't shoot at her.
Now, I already covered the pre-war history of Vault 3 and the recent history of Vault 3 in my video dedicated to the topic. For the full story of Vault 3, you can watch that video by clicking here. But winding our way through the labyrinth that is Vault 3, we eventually arrive at Motor Runner's throne room.
I wasn't expecting a resupply so soon. So you have anything from Red Rock Canyon to sell me?
Now, we can sell this guy any drugs we have in our inventory.
I'm paying 20 caps each for Jet, Psycho, or Buff Out.
By passing a 65 barter check, we can convince him to pay 22 caps per piece, which is the best price we can get from anyone in the entire game. Or we can go ahead and deliver the chems that we got from Jack and Diane.
About goddamn time. Tell the Khans if they can't keep a steady supply, we'll find someone who can.
It's strange that he opens conversation by saying that he wasn't expecting a resupply so soon, but here he just said, well, it's about time. Maybe the chem use is affecting his memory. Anyway, after making our delivery, we can head back to Diane at the Red Rock Canyon Drug Lab.
Hey, seems like you've been making a lot of friends around here.
I finished the Vault 3 run.
And you didn't even get skinned alive. I'm impressed. Here's your payment.
Any new jobs for me?
Not right at the moment, but you could talk to Jack. He's always looking for new recipes.
We can talk to her brother Jack, as she suggested.
How's my most favoritist friend?
And we can pass a science check to say, I know a few recipes for chems that you might want. I could teach you.
Right on. What have you got?
At the moment, we can teach him 3 recipes, but each requires passing a 50 science check. We get a variety of different rewards for teaching him each of these, and we'll go through each of them. First, we can say, I can teach you how to make slasher.
Right on. Let's have it.
A bit of time goes by, and then Jack thanks us.
Groo-delicious. That ought to rake in the caps. What do I owe you?
Oh, Groo-delicious, Jack. Well, how about a little pick-me-up?
Here you go. This'll give you some zing.
He gives us a small stack of chems, and we get some Great Khan fame. Hey, Jack, I can teach you how to make party time mentats.
Right on. Let's have it.
A bit of time goes by, and then...
Groo-delicious. That ought to rake in the caps. What do I owe you?
Well, I just admire Jack's happy-go-lucky attitude. No charge, pal. I'm just helping out.
Right on, right on. You're a pretty hip kitten.
This hip little kitten just got a big dose of Great Khan's fame, and we got some karma. Jack, I can teach you how to make some rocket.
Right on. Let's have it.
After a little bit of time...
Groo-delicious. That ought to rake in the caps. What do I owe you?
This time, I'd like some caps.
Here's a little tink-tink to weight your pockets.
We gain fame, he pays 50 bottle caps, and after teaching him all 3 recipes, we learn a new unarmed attack move. New technique, Con Trick. You've learned the Con Trick special move. To use this technique, initiate a power attack while moving left or right. You will scoop up a handful of dirt and throw it in an enemy's face, momentarily distracting him. With our fame increasing, Jack opens up and we can ask him a few more questions. What do you think about Caesar, Jack?
Huh? Look, kitty cat, me and Diane, we don't dig on that politics stuff, savvy? We just make the product and make it get to a good home. Sure, Caesar's a drag, but as long as we got each other, we don't care who the top dogs roll with.
So he's got the ostrich head stuck in the sand philosophy of politics, okay. Well, you fellows have an impressive setup here. Have you considered making more helpful chems?
What do you mean, helpful? My stuff already makes people feel groo-delicious.
Yeah, but think about all the people who overdose on Jet and Psycho. You know, it's bad for your karma.
Oh, you're right. I should start a side project making meds to keep my aura clean.
I love this guy's sarcasm. And it's probably one of the most critical dialogue pieces we get of the karma system in the game. But by passing this check, we gain karma, and we open up a new dialogue tree. We can ask, how's the medical work going?
Already on it. I whipped up a few stim packs already. But if you've got any more recipes, I'll take them.
We can now buy stim packs from his shop, or we can teach him a few more recipes. The first one requires a science skill of 50 to teach him how to make super stim packs.
Right on. Let's have it.
A bit of time goes by,
Groo-delicious.
and we get the exact same reward choices. The final one is to pass a survival skill of 75, which is really tough, to teach him how to make Hydra.
Right on. Let's have it.
The same thing happens, the screen goes dark,
Groo-delicious.
and we can get even more fame. This is a great way to push us up there to idolized status with the Great Khans. If we kill Motor Runner and wipe the fiends out of Vault 3, it does impact the chem trade going on here at Red Rock Canyon.
We're not moving as many chems now that the fiends have been taken out. Damn it, someone offed Motor Runner. That guy was one of our biggest clients.
Thankfully, they don't know exactly who offed Motor Runner, and if we convince her brother Jack to start making more medically focused chems, we can ask Diane if she's started making any meds yet.
Yeah, you made a pretty good argument. We'll keep it small for now, but if it turns a profit, we might expand.
And that's fine with me. To see the Khans making something besides addictive chems gives me hope for their tribe's future. Now we still have to deal with Jerry the Punk. Remember, he wanted us to talk with the followers of the apocalypse at the Old Mormon Fort to see if they would accept him as a new member. Julie Farkas is the leader here, and we typically find her walking around the courtyard, but if it's late at night, we have to walk into one of the towers of the fort where we find Julie sleeping in her bed.
Hey, good to see you.
I've met a kid who's unsatisfied with life in the Great Khans. Will you take him on as a follower?
We're always looking for new members. Does he have any particular talent?
We have 3 options, but none of them really have any impact on the ending of this quest. We can say, well, no, he has no talents whatsoever.
Well, I suppose we could always find him a place. Maybe doing inventory on the pre-war unexploded munitions collection back west. All right, tell the boy to report here. He can leave on the next caravan.
Or we can say, he's obviously a bright, sensitive soul, and he loves literature.
Excellent. Ezekiel's been after me to find him a new assistant for ages. Tell the boy we'll take him.
Or we can say, well, he's a poet. Kind of.
Well, I suppose we could always use another junior archivist in the library. All right, tell him we'll accept him as a probationary initiate.
After she agrees, we can head back to the Great Khan camp at Red Rock Canyon to talk with Jerry. He typically stands by the arena, but he's also a late sleeper. Even if it's 9 in the morning, we have to find him in his tent.
What?
The followers have agreed to take you on as a member. You can head on over to the Old Mormon Fort.
They did? Oh, that's great. Thank you. I'm out of this crummy camp.
With that, we complete Crimea River, and Jerry the Punk walks out of the canyon for the last time. No matter which of the options we chose, even the one where Julie says she's gonna send him on a caravan out west, we find him walking into the Old Mormon Fort, whereupon he walks to the southwestmost tower and begins tinkering with the chemistry set in Julie's lab.
I'm so much happier now. Thank you again.
Now, as I said in yesterday's video, there is still one more quest to do here in Red Rock Canyon, but since it pertains to the ultimate fate of the Great Khan's tribe, I need to save it for later, until we start to go through the end of the main story to Fallout New Vegas. But there are a few more topics to cover. I have been reading your comments, and I need to agree with you about something that we have been getting conflicting information about the Khans in the NCR. For example, when we went to Boulder City, the NCR there told us that Jessup and McMurphy fired upon them first, unprovoked, for no reason. which is why they chased them into the ruins of Boulder City. But when we met Melissa in yesterday's episode, she told us that it's the NCR who fires upon them for no reason, unprovoked. At the time, I expressed incredulity with that statement, remembering what the NCR told us at Boulder City, but at the end of the day, we're just believing one person over the other. Who's telling the truth? Is the NCR correct? Do the Great Khans open fire on them for no reason? Or are the Great Khans correct, and the NCR fires upon them for no reason? Well, the answer is that they're both correct. If we don a Great Khan uniform and walk anywhere near the NCR, they open fire. Even if they're not NCR soldiers. If the Crimson Caravan see us, for example, the Caravan who are allied with the NCR, they also open fire on us for doing nothing more than wearing a Great Khan outfit. And if at any time we enter Red Rock Canyon wearing an NCR uniform, regardless of our personal fame with them, the Great Khans will open fire. So essentially what we've done is we've walked into a conflict between two different groups that has gone on for a very long time. And it's difficult for us as newcomers to judge who is right and who is wrong. So instead, the best thing we can do is listen to other people in the world, people who have experience with both the NCR and the Great Khans, people who were eyewitnesses to Great Khan behavior and the NCR's action at Bitter Springs. There is no one better to talk to than Bitterroot, a former Great Khan member who was raised by Great Khan tribals and who personally witnessed the Bitter Springs massacre. What happened to your parents, Sergeant Bitterroot?
They're dead. Got themselves killed at Bitter Springs. Served them right, if you ask me.
Can you tell me what happened to them at Bitter Springs?
It was a massacre. That's what a lot of NCR folk will tell you. Most of them feel plenty bad about what happened. But I was there. Saw it myself. I don't care what anybody says. The Khans asked for Bitter Springs. They wouldn't leave the NCR be. My damn parents, too. They were just as bad as the rest.
You don't really mean that, do you?
Don't I? Beg pardon, man, but you never met my parents. My dad, he got himself fucked up every chance he got. Always started with folk for no reason. Hell, he was the one who taught me to shoot. You know how? By taking pot shots at NCR, and not just soldiers. Civilians, too. Even kids. Then he'd get high with his buddies and swap tales about the folk they killed. Bunch of animals. And my mom? A couple of times she tried to sell me to some waster just to score some jet. Even the other Khans said she was useless. Only reason they kept her around was because she was a... how'd my dad say it? A smoking piece of ass.
How did you survive the massacre?
Guess I could tell a pretty good story if I had a mind. But the truth is, I don't know. Just got lucky. They brought me to Daughtry after the battle. He was just a captain back then. Guess he saw something in me. Knew I didn't belong with the Khans. Maybe he felt bad, too, about how his men killed my folks. I told him he did me a service, but he didn't believe me. Still doesn't. He's a good man, Daughtry. Doesn't act like it sometimes, I know. But he didn't have to take me in.
You know, I suppose Sergeant Bitterroot could be lying about everything he just told us. It's possible that as an NCR soldier now, his allegiance to the NCR is clouding his memory. Maybe his parents didn't really act like that. Maybe the Great Khans aren't exactly as he remembered. But we weren't there, and we're trying to piece together something that happened a long time ago. Our only choice is to talk with the people who were there, and those people are either Great Khan survivors or NCR troopers, both of whom have their own biases. For more on the Bitter Springs Massacre, a massacre that has haunted both the NCR troopers who participated in it and the Great Khans who suffered from it, watch my video on Boone's Agony, where I covered the massacre in depth. But what are your thoughts so far on the Great Khans and the information we have before us? Do you find them to be a sympathetic tribe, or do you see them as just another band of raiders? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I publish a new Fallout video 6 days a week on a wide range of topics spanning all of the games. If you want to make sure you don't miss a video, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter to keep up to date with all Oxhorn news. And if you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.
Just in time for your